Hey everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. Do you want to homeschool but you have no idea how to get started? Today's video is for you. If, like so many other people, you're getting fed up with your local public school and you're ready to take the plunge and homeschool, today's video is for you. And I know it might sound really intimidating because this is all happening at once, but don't worry, there's only really 3 things you need to remember when you're pulling your kid out of school and thinking about homeschooling. The first thing that you need to remember, number 1, is you need to look up your state's homeschool laws. And really the easiest place to go for that information is a website called HSLDA, Homeschool Legal Defense Association. HSLDA. They are a Christian organization that bothers some people. Please don't let it, because they have a lot of information on there. Everything you need to know about your state's laws regarding homeschooling is on that site. HSLDA. Go there, look up your site, or you could say, Idaho Homeschooling Laws, HSLDA. And just put that into Google and it'll bring up the laws for your state, and that's what you need to know. So there's basically a couple of things that you need to think about, that you need to look for with the laws for your state. 1, how to legally pull your child out of school. So I know in California, it's literally you just tell them. So it could be an email, it could be a phone call, but what's usually recommended is a certified letter. So and they know that you sent a letter saying that you are going to be pulling your child out of school. And generally speaking, you're going to tell them what school they are going into. So we will get into that. If you are not enrolling them in a charter or a private school or anything like that, you're going to just make up a name basically, and that's what you're going to tell them, and that's all they need to know. That's all they need to know in California. So if you live in another state, you're going to go to HSLDA. I don't know if it's .com or .org or whatever, but you're going to go there and they're going to tell you, because it might differ a little in every state. So you have to legally pull your child out of school the correct way, whatever it is for your state. In California, just write a certified letter and say, we're done. We're pulling them out. My child is going to Fancy Pants private school here in my town, and that's where they're going, whatever you want to call it. So go there, pull your kids out. The next thing that you want to think about are, some states have legal requirements. So California only has a couple of requirements. Again, if you look it up on HSLDA, you will see what they are. But it's basically in October, the big thing is you have to file a PSA, private school affidavit, and say that you're homeschooling if you are doing it independently. And then the other 2 options, there's a couple of other options that people do in California. Right, that's a homeschool charter school. So again, Google's your friend. Google homeschool charter and the name of your town, and it'll populate a list of charter schools. But if you live in California, you are very unlikely to get into a charter school right now. So I wouldn't even stress yourself out personally. I would just file a PSA it's October 1st through, it's either the 15th or the 16th. So in California, that's what you do. Again, go to HSLDA and figure out what you have to do in your state. Again, in California, you just basically have to say that you are homeschooling in October if you're doing it independently. And if not, you have to enroll your kids in some sort of school. And compulsory education. What age is compulsory education in your state? In California, it's 1st grade and higher. It is not kindergarten. So you have to check your state. You may be required to do kindergarten, or you may not be required. So you need to look up. But it is compulsory. Education is compulsory. So your child has to be either enrolled in a public school, a private school, or in homeschool, which in California is essentially you just start a private school. But it's done differently in other states. Sometimes homeschool is its own category in other states. In California, you're supposed to keep records but they're very vague about it. You're supposed to basically teach what the public schools teach. It says that in the law, you know, something equivalent to a public school education, which again is very vague. I mean, look at what Waldorf schools do. So California, when you homeschool, you are setting up your own private school. So really the rules that apply to private schools apply to you. You're supposed to teach an equivalent education to the public schools. But look at Waldorf. They don't teach anything even approaching what public schools teach. So it's all very vague. You're supposed to keep some records, whatever that means. You know, the charter schools keep attendance. You're supposed to keep attendance, but I mean, grab a calendar whenever you need it and mark some days off. You know, you're supposed to keep attendance, and you're supposed to, I think, keep a list of what you teach. Again, that's easy to throw together. But know the rules in your state. So you need to officially pull your child out legally. You need to know the laws in your state about homeschooling. Are there any specific requirements? And that's actually, those two pieces of information are all found on HSLDA. The next thing that you need to think about is curriculum. What am I going to do for curriculum? You need to start with this fact. You will get it wrong, and you will not mess your kid up. Okay? So if you can accept the fact that whatever you do is not going to be perfect, and just own that and accept it, and just know your child is not going to be messed up for life because they didn't have the absolute perfect curriculum for them, that's very freeing. You know, spend a weekend, spend a couple hours, research some stuff, and just pick something. Just pick something. So a couple of good options. Moving Beyond the Page. It's a little pricey. It's like $800 for the year. They will do payment plans. So if you're thinking, you know, payments, well, that's not that bad if you're doing payments. If you have funds, you know, in California, if you have charter school funds, that's not that bad. So you can do that. Also, with Moving Beyond the Page, you can just order the individual components and mix and match and make your own thing. Then there's Bookshark, which is similarly expensive. Both of these are literature-based programs. I highly recommend a literature-based program. You have to read, you have to engage with literature, and you have to engage with ideas. Memorizing a bunch of random facts makes you an encyclopedia. And no matter what you do in life, you're going to memorize facts. So if that's the focus of your education, it's not a good education. You have to have engagement with literature and ideas, and that's why I keep recommending literature-based programs. There's a free one online called Ambleside Online. That is a reasonably good program too, but you have to do a lot of digging on that website. It's not as bad as it might seem at first, but you have to spend a couple hours digging on the website to fully understand the program and how it works, and you're going to have to spend some time reading. It's not just, oh, click, start here, go. It's not like that. You have to actually go on the website and spend time reading. So that's called Ambleside Online. So you have three options right now: Moving Beyond the Page, Bookshark, those two are pricey, Ambleside Online, which is free, but it's a Charlotte Mason approach. It uses a lot of old books. It's free, but it's not. So you can get the books from the library, or you can order them online. So it's inexpensive, very inexpensive, but the outline for the program is free. So I recommend those programs at the beginning for everybody. If you work, if you have a big family, if you have a baby, some of these things are going to make it more challenging for you to homeschool and to be very hands-on at all. One option, which is free, is called Easy Peasy. At the end of the video, I will link to the tutorial for how to get started on that. You should know that there is a little bit of Christianity mixed in. One of the courses is a Bible study course. You can just not do that course. And then there is a little bit of Christianity mixed in some of the other courses, but not much. And for the fact that it is free and it's pretty quality education, I wouldn't turn your nose up to it if you're not Christian. I would just say, oh, that's what Christians believe. I'm not a Christian, and we're not Christians, and this is why we don't believe that. Personally, that's how I feel. I would not turn your nose up to it. It's free, guys. and it's really surprisingly good. So I will link to that tutorial at the end of this video. And then I'm going to mention one more thing. And this is if you are in an unusual circumstance. I do not recommend it normally, but it's called Time for Learning. I think it's only $20 a month. It's very cheap. It is, I think it's an all-in-one program. It may even include math. I think it's everything, but it's all online. I don't like that. I don't think it's healthy developmentally to be in front of a screen all day long. I don't think this is a long-term solution. This is a, I just had a surgery and I really can't do anything with my kid other than set him in front of a screen for 2 months. Or I'm working full time and I haven't wrapped my brain about how I will make something else work. Or I have 8 kids and I'm just thrown into homeschooling and I don't know what I'm doing. So I need them to do something for 2 or 3 months while I figure stuff out. That sort of thing. Or I have a newborn baby, something like that. Okay. So it's Time for Learning, and it's the number 4, Time for Learning. So look that up if you need something inexpensive. Now, there's a whole world of possibilities, but I'm trying to narrow it down to stuff that's reasonably good, that can get you started. All you need to do is get started. Do not worry about picking the perfect thing right at the beginning. Nothing is going to be perfect. Just get started with something and move on from there. And then maybe if you want to just get started really quickly, pick one of those things I suggested and then make a book list. There are so many book lists online that you can use as your reference, and then just make a list of 10 books for your child to work through and request the first 3 of them from your local library. Our local library, we cannot go into it because of COVID, and but we can request books. And if not, get them used. I think there's a website called Thrift Books, or just Amazon. I mean, most paperbacks are pretty cheap. So if whatever option you pick doesn't take a lot of time during the day and you need them to do more because of your circumstances, then a book list is really good, and they should be reading anyway. So especially if you're picking something like Time for Learning where they're not reading much, they need to spend some time reading. So there you go. Pick a curriculum. Just if you don't know what else to do, just pick one of those things I suggested for now, okay? Because you're getting started quick. Just pick one of those, and then you can research over the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months. You can research the perfect curriculum. So you have pulled your child out of school legally. You've learned any legal requirements that your state has for homeschooling, and you've figured out a curriculum, at least for now. The last piece of the puzzle is society. You need friends. You need socialization, as they say, and it's not that hard. You need to, I would go to Facebook or Google. You can do, Google might be your friend, and just type in homeschool group and the name of your town. Especially on Facebook, you're most likely going to get homeschool groups. So you need to join them. You need to find if they have activities. You need to go in person whenever possible to these activities and talk to people. Now, depending where you are, people may not be doing things in person, and to me, that's a problem. But what you can do is work to do maybe online gatherings. So if you have a local homeschool group and they're not doing much, then what you need to do is either organize in-person things yourself through that group. Use whenever you can, use existing infrastructure to organize things. So organize in-person stuff. If people are just not interested in that, organize online things. Think of a theme, something that will sound interesting to the kids and the parents, something that will make it worth their while to take their time away from their video games or whatever else they're doing to do this online thing. But they need society, preferably in person. If you cannot find anything for your town name, keep thinking the next thing to do is the town nearby, right? Or the nearest large town. In my opinion, you should be willing to drive 40 minutes to an hour a couple times a week to have regular interactions with homeschoolers, although it would be better if you could do something really nearby. Whenever possible, it's best to have your social interactions to be as local as possible, so your kids can really develop friendships with their neighbors, basically, with the people who live in their town. So if you don't have anything in your town, or you just really live out in a rural area, think about the next town over or the nearest big town. The next idea, and this sounds like a big thing, but it's not, is to start a group. So in my town, I started a group. There were a lot of homeschoolers already, but there wasn't a large group for organizing activities. So you can start that. And then you can just start wherever you can on Facebook or online, just start saying, hey, I started this group. And you can find other groups that have people that you like in it that also might have homeschoolers or people who are interested in homeschooling, and say, hey, I started this group, come over. And bit by bit, your group will get larger. You can also reach out to local churches, especially if you're Christian. You can reach out to local churches. A lot of them have homeschool groups, and just work to build a community. And depending on where you're at, you may have to work for that. And another way just to get some easy socialization is activities. Where I live right now, soccer is going. You know, a lot of sports are going. It just depends on the sport, and a lot of activities are happening. It just depends on those activities. So find something, at least one thing a week. If not, something that meets 2 or 3 times a week would be good. And those are that's really good socialization, but don't ignore the possibility of homeschool groups, because it's a different kind of socialization. When you just go in for a class, you do the class, and then usually all the parents just take their kids and they go home. So there's not a lot of time just for talking, just for hanging out. So that's what the homeschool groups provide a lot more. And that's what you can organize yourself as well if there's not something in your town. So I hope that was helpful, guys. It's really that easy. Pull your kid out legally, find out the legal requirements, pick a curriculum, and don't go crazy, mulling over every single option in the world. Just pick a curriculum and create a little bit of a society. And that's all you need to homeschool. I really hope I answered all of the basic questions. That's all I can think of. It's really that simple. If you have any more questions, though, please ask me in the comments below, or any more advice for people that are new to homeschooling, tell us in the comments below. If you like this video, please click thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.